Sorry, Steve. I was just double checking. Did you hit record on this session?
No, that was my job and I didn't. So
Okay, maybe we can.
It's all right. I just did.
Okay, perfect. Happy to go to the next slide.
So there's a couple of top tips that I've just seen, and if there's people that want to give topper tips or better tips, they're welcome to chime in at the end of this, or if they want to expand on any of these tips. If you are tagging activities, if you limit them to 1 to 2 skills per activity, then it makes the scoring of them that much faster and easier. If you've ever tried to score 3 skills at once, and there's a lot of brain activity, especially if they're very, very different, scoring 25 or 30 students times 3 is a lot of work. So by limiting the skills, you're more likely to go through the skill tagging process much faster. And it can be a fast process if you do it from the activity element. If you tag the activities before assigning them, that will save you time as well, but you can edit the activity and that will get the tag in there on the student's work. And not every tag needs to be scored. If you tag something with 3 items, but there's only work that goes towards 1 or 2 of them, it's okay if some of those tags are blank. So that can happen sometimes. A student will give you partial work and you can score just that little bit of it. I already referenced scoring from the activity. It's kind of like speed grader in Canvas. You can score, press the right arrow, and score the next item. And then this element, I think, is when you're using it from the skills view. That's one way to kind of highlight if you are showing students what an exemplar might be. You can go to that skills view and you can pick the 4 or 5 kids that got a 4 on it, and you can kind of quickly go through there. You don't have to show them that everyone got 4s, but you could then pick those 4 out to show them as exemplars. So Carrie, can you go to the next slide? So we spoke about this a long time ago when we first talked about skills, that it's in your progress tab, and there is an activities view and a skills view. And right now, I think all of your skills view are basically empty because we had to knock out all those old skills and replace them with the new skills. So this is going to be built over the next couple of weeks and months. And hopefully, as Carrie goes through kind of what the quote homework activity is to go through and tag an activity, tag some skills, and start building up this skills view and see how useful it might be for you. So one of the things that you can see in this skills view is that there are skills that are tagged and skills that are untagged in that right next to the student name. So you might see this could be useful information that Amy has a lot of activities with unskilled or untagged skills. So maybe she's not necessarily completing the assignments if you were tagging multiple skills. It also shows how many items have been tagged for that particular skill. So in Amy, if you go over to the right, you can see that there have been 10 items that fit under that particular report card standard. And if you hover over that and click into it, you will see those 10 items. It is very, very handy, particularly when you're doing report cards. You can go in and it gives you the score of the last one in there, but you can go through and click into it and then see all of them in order. So that's really all there is. We hope that you get in there and start using skills. And if there are elements of skills that need to be improved, we can give feedback to Seesaw. Is this something that is, is it too slow? Are there ways to make it more efficient? keep on giving your feedback. Skills was actually something developed by teacher feedback. So I'm just going to open it up. Are there, back to that Seesaw top tips or in the Seesaw skills view, does anybody want to add a layer to that?
I would just say that I did use skills a lot more during COVID. And then for some reason, I used it a lot more last year and I haven't started using it much this year. But like you said, the number one thing to remember is if you keep it to 1 or 2 skills, it's much easier. Definitely in kindergarten, the skills are very diverse. So if you try to score it on something for like 3 or 4 skills, it was too hard, or at least it was too hard for me. So it was easier to do just 1 or 2 for each activity.
And I think you can be ambitious and you can tag an activity with 3, but then just you realize, oh, I'm only going to focus on 1 as you're scoring it.
We use skills a lot during hybrid in kindergarten, and we kind of manipulated it, not necessarily for what the intention was, but to track participation. There was ways that we could tag activities, and at the time in our building, we were asked to collect a lot of data on engagement, and it was a really great way for us to track it. So I guess I just think it's also interesting to kind of think outside of the box with the skills of other things that it could take off your to-do list as far as monitoring or tracking.
Well, and now that Seesaw does have that activities tab, that is a way of monitoring the items that have been turned in. But it is nice, I think, especially if you can see how many tags are scored and not scored in that skills view. That definitely can add to your data.
Can I ask a question about the activities tab and the skills? The like when you were just showing it, the download. And this is what I looked at for, it says download for skill view, but for activities view, mine said export. But when it exports, it's exporting in a different format that isn't, at least for me, it isn't super, it doesn't look anything like this. So I'm just wondering if I'm missing something, or if you can download something that looks like this, or even to print it so you have, can you not do that?
No, it goes to a CSV.
Yeah, I know.
And so some people who are really, really savvy with, CSVs can drop that into Google Forms and maybe pull data that they want to see it in a different way. And honestly, I haven't played with it enough,
right?
But I can. And I sit next to probably the most amazing Google Forms person in the world, Nick Hirschman, who's our secondary math TOSA. And maybe there's some wisdom there that because just looking at a raw CSV is just not really helpful.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Anyway, I just wondered on that piece, because having it on the screen, or even having just a printed out copy, this is very user friendly just for looking at how much participation kids have for activities, but also for skills. But it's harder there's some extra steps with downloading it. So anyway, just wondering. Thanks.
What I would suggest that I do often, especially if I'm trying to let families know that the assignment is missing, is within the view that shows the assignments, because that's how they think of the assignment. They don't think about it as the skills. You just basically scroll up till the top bar identifies just the assignment and then the student's name. And then you just screenshot that, drop that into their messages to the student and the family so that they can see a little visual graphic of these 2 or 3 things are missing. Because it's the way of having it look like what you're seeing, which is user friendly, instead of just the data sheet. It only takes a couple seconds. I do that often. It tends to work really well because then everybody knows what it is.
Yeah, I've done the screenshot sometimes, but that's a good suggestion. Thanks.
Okay, so I think we are going to give you some time. Carrie, was this when you wanted me to jump in? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're gonna give you some time to talk in breakout rooms in just a minute. But before we meet again, we would like for you to do one of the following things. We've got two little different parts for homework. So the first part is to decide whether you'd like to create an activity and tag at least one skill to it and assign it to your class, and then score it once the kids turn it in, or go back to an existing item and add a skill and score it. So either way, you're ending up when we meet again in January with an activity and a scored skill. We're going to have you talk a little bit about this, which option you think you might want to do in your breakout rooms. Maybe someone has an idea of what they're going to do. Maybe you just have some all out questions. We just want to give you some time to collaborate and speak with some people in your group. I'm watching Carrie's screen move. Okay, so yeah, so just we're hoping that there's maybe one or two in each breakout room that has experience with skills. So maybe you can speak up to that a little bit and share with the group any of your tips and tricks. And even if you've done it this year, if you feel confident enough in sharing your screen, showing what you know and what you see. I think our big idea here is we really would just love for people to see this as a grade book option and help you ultimately when you're sitting down to make summary judgments with grades. How can this be of use for you? Also too, just like we kind of heard from some of the other people that were talking, what are some of the skills that you see widely used at your level? Because some are used more than others, right? And then, yeah, just talking a little bit more about that homework assignment that we're giving you out as you finish up talking together. Okay, so Carrie's put that in the chat for you. And let me go ahead and make those breakout rooms.
And if you haven't yet, take a look at the way the report card language is in the skills right now, and does it need to be organized differently? Take a look to see if the way you might browse that, you can search by keywords, see if it's user friendly.
All right, I'm going to open all the rooms. You can self-select. Please let us know if you have any issues getting in. And how much time are we taking here? I can set a timer.
Maybe about 10, 12 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Oh, and I'm going to remind me, I'm going to pause the recording. Did I just close all the breakout rooms?
I don't have one. Nothing popped up on my screen. Oh, there we go.
Okay. I closed that window out so I could pause the recording.
There is this underneath desk or table option for a cubby, if you will, a space for books. Nice part about these is they can be added or removed based on your needs or your wants. So you say, nope, I don't want to deal with that. We have communal supplies or cubbies or whatever. We can remove those. Again, we don't know exactly what the budget gods are going to do when they come down and look at our requests, but we're putting in like a pie in the sky. This would be great if classrooms had this, and then we'll see. You got other tables. Which kind of table would you like to have in your space? In terms of table height, would you like to have the ability for your desks or tables to go up to a standing height for your age of students, right? Whatever height that is, or would you like to be able to have floor level seating for your students? If we gave you little bookshelves, how many of those? And again, every school has different built-in shelving, right? And storage. So how many of these would you want or need? And is there any other classroom furniture that you would like to have? Again, we're going pie in the sky and we're going to ask for it all and see what the budget is able to get us. Other question here is your own teacher desk. We ran into a lot of teachers that did not want to have a designated teacher desk that only has one purpose. It is the teacher's desk. A number of people were saying that they would prefer rather to have, doesn't have to be this table, but they would prefer to have a table with a rolling storage compartment underneath. So they had flexibility. That could be used as a student table, should you not want a teacher desk, or it could be used as a teacher desk station. This little rolling guy down here would have the ability to have a student sit on it. So it could be under your desk, could be rolled out, somebody have a seat while you're conferring or chatting with a friend, and then you could put it back in. It's not a chair in the way. So, what do you, I know that's a lot of information. Any initial thoughts or questions? You can feel free to unmute or throw it in the chat, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Here, I'll say this. My daughter goes to Imlay in Hillsborough. They have the triangle desks that are kind of like that, but they have the wheels on the bottom.
Yeah.
And their teacher, I kind of asked him about it, and he said that like they're way easier to move. It's like on a lock lever where
Yeah.
you just step on it and it just keeps it in place. I asked my daughter what she thought of them. And the one thing that she said is that it's like, it gives enough like elbow room space on the sides versus like the traditional way where you butt the two desks side by side. The kids are always just banging into each other next. So she was like, I like it because I feel like she has her own space.
Uh-huh.
And so I'll just put that out there.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't think it was the gym though. I think it was they're kind of bowed in the center.
It was probably like that one, Carrie.
Kind of like that one, yeah.
Mhm.
That's called a boomerang.
A boomerang. All right.
And what's really cool is that the boomerang kind of matches up with a trapezoid. So you could put a trapezoid with a couple kids on it and then boomerangs on either side.
I was just curious, is there a reason why there isn't more desks with wheels on them? My husband's high school has been rebuilt from the ground up, and all of their furniture they replaced with has wheels.
Well, maybe just the pictures we had didn't have wheels. The wheels can be an option on any of these desks.
Oh, okay.
So all of these desks, that's something that could be added on. One of the things that Vos has found with some of the wheels that they break within a year or two. So then you have they may not be strong. It could just be that particular vendor didn't have strong wheels, and maybe other vendors have better wheels. And some teachers said, well, I don't use the wheels, but 2 or 3 times a year, because I've got my room configured the way I want it. And then, so I don't know what the answer would be for wheels. And it's not that much more for wheels, but if they break a lot, then it would be a lot more.
Mhm.
And one thing has come up, and it's come up in a couple of discussions we've had with teachers, is the ability to, lock desks together so kids can't knock them over when they're having a bad day. And I don't know how wheels would contribute or not contribute to that. So we're very early on in this process. I know that the desks that I taught at more than 20 years ago in this district are still there. So, and those desks were old when I got them. So there's some really old furniture in some of our buildings. And they don't tend to match, if you've noticed that.
And I believe the idea is that the whole school would be updated, if I'm understanding the project correctly. The front office, the library, the cafeteria table is like an overhaul.
And there is a second, if you are early learning, there's kind of another bucket of money that might augment or kind of overlap with this. So The early learning team is looking at redoing all the pre-K classrooms for next year. Whether or not this kind of overlaps with that, or I mean, we really don't know, but expect that a lot of the early learning classrooms will get redone relatively soon.
On the one that asks you if you would like the floor or the standing, it's just asking one or the other. It's not asking if you want just the regular sitting. Is that on purpose, or?
I think regular sitting is a given. They
Okay.
will be regular sitting height. Do you want the other options?
I see. Gotcha. Okay. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so we appreciate your input and let us know if you have other things that come to mind. Wouldn't this be great if we were in a kindergarten space and they have obviously a big, nice rug like lots of kindergartens have. And then right behind that space, they had like a bench, a nice long bench that had storage underneath it and a pillow across the top, seating across the top. And then we saw that in a 5th grade class, like would 5th grade like having a space to sit that's not on the floor? So all kinds of discussions being had right now. So any input that you have in that survey or just letting us know would be awesome. Come look at this space. Here's a catalog. I saw this picture on Pinterest of the, like whatever. We are taking input right now to make that major decision. Okay, friends, let's hop into our to-do list to wrap up our time together. So making sure that you've registered in Kika, making sure that you have confirmed your attendance, and I'll stick that in the chat for you. The attendance code is also in our slides right there. And if you need a reminder for how to do that, it's slide 15 is showing you all the steps required to do that. And then we have our awesome pay form. And you open up that pay form. And again, I put directions for you on slide 14 if you've forgotten what to do on the pay form. A quick reminder there that it is 1 hour of pay. And option B is when you get your hourly rate. So make sure that you put that under option B. At our next meeting, we will be able to be paid, I believe it's for 2 hours, because you'll be paid for your homework time in addition to the meeting time. So I will catch you up that on the next meeting cycle with you. So I will put today's budget number in the chat for you as well. And reminder, you can just type your name in there. And as soon as you get that all filled out, you just hit that download button and it says, do you want to download with all your information on it or without? And obviously you want all your information on it. And then you email it to my name right there. And if your name can be on that email, that makes my life a lot easier. And I will handle getting that all to payroll and signed and admitted for you. Email that to me. And then there's a quick feedback form at the end of this meeting. So what is it that you'd like or need for our next meeting, or that's helpful in terms of our planning. And then as soon as you've done that to-do list, I believe, let's see, when is our next meeting? We meet again January 12th. That's right. So that homework is prior to January 12th. And again, I'll try to send out reminder emails prior to that. So I think our second week back, we'll meet that Thursday. If you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to chime in with them now. And if not, I guess I'll see you next year, right? Officially, I'll see you next year. Hope you have a restful break. That's weird saying on December 1st, but I don't know if I'll see you in person. So have a great break.